Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah ta'ala wa barakatuh. You're watching It Takes Two on Sky 847 Safir TV. I'm Bilal Ali Hugh and I'm joined by my co-host sister Ruby So. Assalamu alaikum, Ruby.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm doing well.
This week we're joined by Sheikh Muhammad Ridha. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum.
How you doing, Sheikh? You okay?
Pleasure and honor to be here.
Good,
Alhamdulillah,
good,
everyone's
good.
well.
So we're going to explore some of the challenges that come up in marriage, look at some of the scenarios and see if we can help the brothers and sisters out there to move forward in more loving and let's say effective marriages, not just what's what they say where they say like you're just enduring. We're trying to make it more enjoyable. Dear It Takes Two, I am a married woman living with my husband and children in Europe. I'm finding it extremely difficult to adjust in this environment as we are so distant from our family members. My boys are now teenagers and I feel as if I have no control over them. They are surrounded by people who are smoking, drinking, having illegitimate relations and God knows what else. My husband is hardly at home and does little or nothing about the situation. My boys are very abusive. They shout at me when I try to stop them from doing wrong. One of them even hit his little sister. I can't take them to see a scholar due to how rude they are and I can't force them to go. My life is falling apart and I have no idea what to do. From a very distressed anonymous sister living in London. I'd like to start off with yourself, Ruby. What do you think has triggered this dynamic and how can a sister as a what it sounds like a one-woman army bring about a change amongst the troops?
I think she needs to get some comfort in knowing we have seen many occasions of this happening. For example, when you had the refugee crisis in Somalia, you had a lot of Muslim people coming to the country, and it was mainly women by themselves first with their children, and then the men would follow later, a lot later, or not come at all, for whatever reason, government visa or whatever reason. And they were very alienated. The way they dressed in the full hijab was very alienating to them. And what we started to find in England was that the children, they were so shocked with the environment, they were trying to get accustomed to the environment. And as we all know, that being a teenager is a very challenging time emotionally, and fitting in, that what started to happen was gangs were being formed by Somalians and Turkish and Kurdish gangs, and traditionally from backgrounds that, you know, the mother and father really held strongly to the roost, and there were principles and laws, and, you know, but they completely, a lot of them lost their minds. Even today, there's Somalian gangs, you know, with very Muslim names and going to Jummah, etc.
That's right, that's right.
And so this is nothing new, and this is, I think, happened to lots of first generation immigrants, if I can call them that. And there is a lot of support available to them here, especially in the Muslim community as well, that they try and reach out because they've noticed that there's a crisis. So she's feeling despair because she's in an unfamiliar environment. So when they go to school, they're being bombarded by all this freedom and all these experiences, and they've basically lost their minds, and he's trying to adapt to, well, we're not back home now. It's not a village mentality where if I did something, the neighbor would clap me around the head. Not that I'm suggesting you should do that, but I'm just saying that's what
they've been socialized into what it sounds like is the British order for teenagers.
And you know, this is going to sound maybe uncomfortable for a lot of our viewers, but because there is no, I'm going to say, male role model or male presence, and these are people who traditionally would have, if the dad wasn't there, the grandfather was there, or the uncle was there, or, you know, the shopkeeper would be keeping an eye on them. They don't have any of this.
But that is not absent as in absent by the sounds of it, as in they're not married, he lives abroad, but that is MIA in his own way. I don't know if the inference is that he's probably working. Is it the UK lifestyle and the demand for the wages that he's
probably
out
going through a
working?
lot of change as well, and he's absorbed in, oh my gosh, you know, new environment. This is common as well. Children are growing up you know, the things that they're being taught in school and the education level is something I'm not accustomed to, he might be completely withdrawn from the situation. So the mum is now mum, dad, and the policeman and everybody else. And she's feeling overwhelmed.
Let me just bring the Sheikh in. Sheikh, they're a married couple. The sister is married. She has a husband, but it seems as if, no pun intended, she's left holding a baby. What can she do to move things forward?
You know, I'm trying not to say anything patronizing from this ivory tower of Sheikhhood, because I can't begin to imagine the difficulty she might be going through. As the sister said just now, the adolescent time is a very turbulent time for the children and therefore for the whole family. And at the risk of sounding cliched from the Sheikh here, as far as we suggest all of these social practices and social remedies that a person goes through, and they help, but I mean, and not as a sheikh, but just to put this out there, are that people who are in such difficulty, the first recourse should always be to Allah and ask for His help, the one who created us when we had nothing, air to breathe before we knew what breathing was, gave these children a mother to nourish them from the fruit of her own heart before they even knew what nourishment meant. The supplication of this broken-hearted mother, as the hadith tell us, that Allah says through the words of the Prophet, that He says Allah is saying that I am with the one who is broken-hearted. She is definitely, according to the letter, in that situation. And the dua or the supplication of that broken heart reaches Allah most effectively. So to beg from Him who created us when we were nothing, gave us everything when we had nothing, to beg from Him humbly and say, I'm broken, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. You gave me these children as blessings, now this has happened. To ask Allah primarily for His help would be always, in all these situations we have marital or with children, I mean, that would be the first point of advice. That's why I'm saying it sounds a bit cliched, but dua is something we can never take for granted. And its effectiveness is beyond anything we can imagine. Especially when Allah says in the Quran, when my servant asks about me, she, in this mother, in this situation, must be feeling very distant from Allah Himself in this situation.
Despair,
absolutely despair, yes.
Despair.
But what if she, I mean, I'm thinking she's probably already praying and doing Salatul Layl and really asking for some...
Yeah, if that's the case, I mean, as every mother would, then that's brilliant, that should continue. On that note, I would also recommend our fourth Imam alayhi salam, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, his special supplication for the parents to ponder upon for their children. So as a parent, to recite is the wrong word because we don't recite supplications. Supplications are talking to Allah. So to talk to Allah in this way, as a parent, for the benefit of their children, would be, yes, and as we accompany all of these daily things anyway. But one thing, sorry, that Brother Bilal, that you picked up on was the absence of the father. And
yes,
it was
I've got a big problem with this.
You know, I mean, the implication of the letter, what we can infer from it, is that this is an immigrant family. Because he said we're now distant from our family.
Yeah.
And so at that time, or in that
so the
context,
extended family, as you mentioned,
played a big role.
That support network doesn't seem to be there.
Not only that, but in an Eastern context, Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, wherever it might be, it was more difficult for the adolescent adolescent young adult, young person, to veer far away from the right path, as it were, because access to these things wasn't there. And now when everyone's walking around with a smartphone in their hand where access to X, Y, and Z is at their fingertips, it's much easier now for them to stray further and further away.
And not only that, they're keeping company with people who are drinking, smoking, and in funny types of relationships.
Back there, when the father didn't play much of a role in the child's upbringing, well, the danger wasn't that starkly felt, because, well, they couldn't be far off anyway. What's the worst thing they're going to do? Start smoking. They'll come back. But now the context is different. Without, as Sister Ruby said, without that male figure guiding, I mean, the communication. Look at what we have from the Quran and examples from the Quran. How a father is. We're talking about, and this is what I heard from another scholar on one of these YouTube clips. Very inspiring. The father figure. Look at him. How Nabi Ya'qub alayhi salam presents himself to his son Yusuf, and how Yusuf interacts with him. Yusuf, alayhi salam, at the beginning of that chapter of Surah Yusuf, has had what he sees as a disturbing dream. That the sun and the moon and 11 stars or whatever it is are bowing down to him. He's confused. As a young person, he's confused. What was his first point of reference to ask guidance from? The Quran says, he said, وَإِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفْ لِأَبِيهِ, he turned to his father and said, Ya abati, oh my father, with great respect. Ya abati in the Arabic language is a very endearing term. Oh my great, respected, reverent father. But who did he? So the father has that loftiness in his eyes, one. But two, he turned to his father.
But Shay, we still have the challenge, because what I'm left thinking is that there's a dynamic going on. There's a psychological problem between husband and wife. The sister says, I can't take them to see the sheikh because they're too rude.
You know what I would tell her? Please don't tell her, take them to the sheikh. Please don't.
And that, but also that would be, to me, it feels a little bit undermining from the husband's point of view. He needs to be brought in. You know, if he was absent,
to come in.
That's what I'm saying. But she needs to engage. Not engaging because it's her fault he's not engaging, but they're a team. They're still husband and wife. So she needs to find a way to communicate with her husband and bring him on side. They need to, whether it's to take the boys out somewhere, whether it's to discuss with them about they're not happy about how they handle their little sister, or whichever one hit the little sister. Things of this nature needs to take place. It can't be a situation where she's bringing in somebody, what it looks like another male. That can feel a bit emasculating or undermining for a man in the house.
I think it's got to the stage where this boy thinks he is, the man of the house.
Yes. I think there's more than one. There's boys actually.
Yeah, well, these boys are because the dad has been so passive, and I think we've got
but that's a teenage thing, isn't it? Though, young people, when they get to their teens, we know in psychological, in terms of child development, the teenage years are the years when people start to define themselves. Before that, their identities, a child's identity is so mirrored off of their parents' identity. They don't have really their own identity.
They break away from their parents.
That's the right. They're breaking away.
They socialize more and affiliate more with their peers.
Yes. That's what I wanted to say. I wouldn't.
The peer group is the parent.
I would say, if you feel that you've spoken to your husband and he's still not reacting, he still might not know what to do, then there are plenty of Islamic Shia centres that you can go to that have youth programs, that have mentoring programs, that will pair you off with children who have the same interests, be it sports, I don't know, games, I don't know, subjects in school, whatever it is.
These guys are interested in smoking.
Well, this is
they have people
chilling out to late night with all kind of weird company.
But this is it. There are a lot of Shia youth groups that are up until 2 in the morning on Friday nights, where they say drop your kids here, let them play, let them express themselves. Let us have a place where mum and dad aren't involved, where we have, youth workers and trained people and people who have also gone down that route, who have made a turn.
So like mentors.
To talk to them and say, look, this is a safe place. 2 o'clock, you want to hang out, you want to play. I've been there myself, 2 o'clock in the morning driving, to take my son to one of these things. And they'll see, they might be kicking or screaming the first or second time, but then it's a place that they want to go because they can be themselves. They have a community. They start remembering that, I am a Muslim. There are people like me. They're boys. We're all going through the same thing. And it's really helpful. So I would say, do your research. We've got the internet now. Speak to sisters. Sisters are a wealth of information. If you need something, there's always a sister that can tell you where to go. And, take your husband with you. Let him come. Let him see. Maybe, it will move him as well. But he might be so shocked. He might not know what to do in this situation. He might be absorbing his environment and the loss of control and, all the things that are now open to him and his son. It happens. Sometimes men just go in themselves.
He's withdrawn. Only because of time. I think that we may have to just move on to our our next letter, just to do justice to this second letter. But we, inshallah, we've said some things, you've brought some things forward, both that may just trigger a thought in a sister's mind, inshallah. But our next letter reads, Dear ItTakes2, I am currently studying at university. I have the desire to get married and share my life with somebody. The problem is that I always hesitate to pursue marriage as I feel like I lack life experience and I need to gain a better understanding of myself. I've considered pursuing a temporary marriage to experience what a relationship is like and how it makes me feel, but I'm scared that someone will see me, assume I'm doing something haram, and tell my family. I always feel like I'm trying to live up to the expectations of others when all I want to do is find my own way. Please advise. An anonymous individual from London. I'm not sure if it's a brother or a sister. Does that make a difference in terms of the muta' without parents knowing?
Yeah, well, yes. Technically speaking, yes. But I mean, to address the question head on, what should I do? Because he or she, I'm assuming it's a he, but I don't know, it could be a she, doesn't feel ready to get married in terms of life experiences or whatever. It doesn't feel ready. You'll never be ready to get married. I wasn't ready to get married. I thought I was ready to get married. I had read every book about I was ready. When I got married, marriage was something completely different. The same with parenthood. I thought I was ready to become a dad. Once I became a dad, this is what it's really like. He or she will never be ready or feel ready, may never feel prepared if there's insecurity is there all the time. Get married, man. Marriage, if you want to find yourself, I haven't found myself, or something to that effect, you said in the letter. What better tool and what better school than marriage?
The brother or sister wants to find them. I thought that's what a gap year was about before you went to university.
That's what I thought too.
But you go and find yourself in the Amazon jungle and you do some charity work and stuff like that.
In the long run, I don't know what fruits this temporary marriage is going to have for them anyway. I'm still not ready. I got married temporarily and now it's off, but I'm still not ready. I'll never be prepared.
This is what's happened. I'm just going to say this is what happened. Right. She's gone to uni. Uni's a completely, or she, they've gone to uni. It's opened up a completely different world. You're at that age where you think you know everything. There's intellectual stimulation going on. You're meeting different types of people. You're exposed to more types of people. You know, you've got your freedom. You could go and study with brother, whoever, and then now you're kind of feeling, well, this is interesting. I'm interested in the opposite sex, but I don't really know if I want to get married. So let me have a little dabble here. This is what the person is saying. Let me have a little practice run here. If I get
simulated
burnt,
marriage, like just
little play. Simulated marriage, I like that word. If I don't like it, then I know I'm not ready. And if it does work for me, then maybe I am ready.
Well, if that's the intention, that opens a whole other can of worms anyway. If that's, but just on the basis of what's being said, you asked about the temporary marriage issue anyway. Yes. Well, first of all, even if it's a guy and that's not a girl who's writing in, to conduct it, he wouldn't need permission from his parents. But if she's an unmarried person, previously unmarried, he would need permission from her parents. I don't know how he's going to get that for a temporary marriage anyway. So this dabbling is not really an avenue open to him, really.
But the person does seem to have some modesty in the sense they don't want to be perceived as doing anything wrong, but at the same time they are trying to define themselves.
She wants to go on a date, or he wants to go on a date.
He or she wants to go on a date, but
this is
they're
what's
sick of living under other
they want
people's
to go
expectations.
On a halal date.
Yeah, they can.
And
a permanent one. And you know what,
called marriage.
Exactly. And this situation is not at all uncommon. Not today, not yesterday, not yesteryear, and not 10 centuries ago. Which is why the Quran says, and you know the verse about marriage, which is always quoted before marriage is conducted in our ceremonies, the verse says, "Ankihul ayama minkum." It's a command. Get married, the single ones amongst you. Do you see how it's not a command to those people saying, marry, if you're single, get married? No, it's a command to the society around them to facilitate this for them. Those single ones amongst you, get them married so they don't fall into these problems. As they go on adolescence and beyond adolescence, it's a natural urge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put, not only the physical side, the one for companionship, to share things. It's a natural urge for him and for her. Okay, get them married. Well, we don't have the finances. Well, finance them. Facilitate things for them, make it easier for them. And when they're at that young age, well, they're not ready to get married. Why aren't they ready? Or because they're not, we don't know if they're going to Well, that young age is the malleable age where they're still able to change and adapt with one another and then grow together, rather than when they're 25, 30, 35, and now I'm a bit rigid now, I need someone with X, Y, Z specifications to get married. Let them get married young.
But maybe,
go
ahead.
There's a fear though, isn't it? There's a fear of jumping. There's
the
mutter scenario sounds like, you know, with your seatbelt on, or with, you know, roller skating, but you got elbow pads.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they seem to be frightened of marriage. I'm not sure what the fear is.
Maybe they're not sure that how do they choose the right person, and how do they know they will like that person. They're really worried about their choice. They're feeling that there's some emotions going on. They feel they're being pulled some way, but they don't want to make that commitment. And actually, I think it's a good thing, because this person is not sure what they want to do. They feel that, oh, you know, I'm feeling that I want to have a, you know, test run, but I don't want to go the full way. But actually, I don't really know what I want to do. I want to have a, you know, halal dating, let's call it mut'ah.
In today's world, as you described, the mut'ah kind of being in a safe, with a seatbelt on environment, in today's social world, it doesn't really work like that. Imagine the ramifications and the repercussions if for him, okay, for her even worse, if people were to find out that she was in such a relationship before, and the ramifications, like societal ramifications, would be disastrous for her.
When you say society, you really just mean the taboo of the Muslim community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I mean. But we have to take that into consideration. When I said once before that the contexts have changed, even the context of mut'ah has changed. The fact that there is stigma and taboo attached to it tells us something. You know, in the time of the 6th Imam, 5th Imam, the times of the Imams alayhimus salam, some of the closest companions were children. The close companions, very religious, very pious, were children of mut'ah marriage. Right?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Exactly
Nothing's
my
wrong
point.
with that.
But now, the fact that if someone was to be called son of a mut'ah marriage, that's seen as an insult, tells us that the social context has changed.
Why did it change? When did it change? And how can we change it back?
Or should we change it back? Or is the legislation with regards to things to do with marriage, be it mut'ah marriage, temporary marriage, or polygamy, that the man can have more than one wife, is the context right for it or not? Or is it because it was practiced, we should legitimize it for always and forever? Is that the case?
It might be even more relevant though.
Or was there a context to it where it was a social help, and maybe it could be applied here? Brilliant. Maybe not. But is it to be universally applied in all countries, in all places, in all eras? This should be the case, that polygamy and mut'ah and are always applicable. They're not always applicable.
But if it,
in this situation, they might well be, yeah.
If it makes
Keeps
things
people away from
halal,
sin,
then
But
fantastic.
it does it though, because the technicalities of it is that she needs permission from her parents here, which is
And
very
that's
difficult
the
in
thing.
itself.
The thing is, we need to. I think if it was brought out in the open, and our communities didn't have an issue about polygamy and mut'ahs, and children would see the confidence in their parents, and they could talk about it like it's not a dirty word, it's a halal act. They would have more control and more freedom to say, at 16 or 17, Mum, all my friends have boyfriends or girlfriends in school. I don't want to go that route. But I feel I'm now seeing attracted to the opposite sex. So is there anything for me? Well, yes, son or daughter, there is. Who do you think you would be interested in? Let's talk to the families. Or there has to be other options, because these letters like these, they're now going underground, and that's what's dangerous.
And the truth of the matter is, the environment that we live in, I think that you're alluding to when you say about my friends are, you know, the Muslim young people that are brought up in this country are not under the same stress, under the same strain, under the same test as their parents were in Pakistan, in Iraq, in Iran. It's a totally different, and it's a different era, but in a different place. So there needs to be more, I think, empathy around this particular issue. It would save a lot of problems. I mean, I'm not encouraging any young person to jump into mut without their parents knowing, or just jumping in, because we also have the horror stories and people coming out with the emotional scars and stuff like that. You know, many letters are open up. I'm really in distress. I was in a mut'ah, but then it didn't work out, and they're not working it out. Is, you know, it can be horrendous. It doesn't have to be, but it can be horrendous. So, but we need some kind of seminar, some kind of workshop, something to open up the dialogue.
Sister Ruby spoke about these things, and I spoke about the verse in the Quran where facilitating marriage. We have, many centers are running seminars and workshops on the issue of spouse selection, which is what you had mentioned, spouse selection. We doesn't know how to choose a spouse, or is that the right way, or how, or what am I looking for anyway? And these workshops are really helpful in that respect.
But to be honest, most of the time they're so generic, like look for someone with Deen. That's really helpful.
Well, sometimes
is there something else?
You know what's
that I need
interesting
to
is where it's
look
like
for?
when Muslims are going forward to look for marriage, and they're speaking to those brokers or speaking to alims or whoever, and they say, so what, brother, what are you looking for in a wife? Someone who's pious. You know, like they even start parroting, or like, you know, it's symbiosis. Like you kind of say what you think is expected of you. You're not really saying that I want somebody that's exciting, dynamic, must be really attractive. If that's what you're looking for, say it. At least be honest, so you know the person who's trying to arrange a marriage for you knows where you're really at, so they can either facilitate or they can't facilitate. It's really gone. This episode has gone like a flash, but it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Sheikh. And Sister Ruby, thank you. Thank you all for staying with us for the duration of It Takes Two, and we hope to see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.